In today's episode of the Knitting Podcast, I'll be sharing with you some fun yarn, 2 of my 2 at a time sock knitting projects, as well as my new peanut basket. Trust me, it'll all make sense. So get cozy and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Knitting Podcast. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is Sunday, it is August 13th. It has been a whirlwind of a week. My family went back to school for the beginning of the year. My husband's a high school teacher, and my boys are starting the year at school at a new elementary school this year, where my youngest is beginning kindergarten and my oldest is going into 3rd grade. And my husband just got back from a 2-day disc golf tournament. And when I say just got back, he didn't get back. He's not left town or anything. But the disc golf tournament was here in Henderson, and he just participated in it and finished his last round, I guess you could say. So it's been a busy week. You guys, that first week back to school when you have all these other things going on, it can really take it out of you. And so I took last week off from uploading a midweek ramble because of all of that and wanting to just give myself a chance to breathe and be present and hopefully give myself some time to knit, which I did squeeze in a little bit of knitting, I guess you could say, but I squeezed in a lot of other things that have been sitting on the back burner while my family's been home over the summer. So all of this is to tell you I am really happy to be here with you today to share some of what I've been doing and some fun little things that I want to share with you. So thank you for taking the time to hang out with me. It always means so much. Now, I also want to mention first thing before we get started, something I'm really excited about right now is Irish breakfast tea with milk and honey. Now, if you watched my video, I want to say it was 2 videos ago where I shared with you the Titanic tea that we got from the Titanic exhibition. Well, that's what I'm drinking again today, and it's just an Irish breakfast tea. But when I started drinking that, I started with a really good glug of honey, and then I steeped the tea for 2 minutes as prescribed on the back of the tin. And then after 2 minutes, I removed the tea bag and added a splash of whole milk. You guys, it's like the greatest thing. It is so good. It's almost like good enough if I needed to, I could replace my morning coffee with it. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but I'm really into Irish breakfast tea, milk and honey, and I feel compelled to share that with you. So that is what I have in my mug today. Piping hot. It is still pretty warm here, but it's starting to get to that point where the sun isn't as high in the sky. The shadows are getting longer. It just, it's starting to, I can tell fall is around the corner. It's starting to suggest that outside, even though it is still quite hot. So things like this, long sleeves inside the house, it just feels really good. It feels cozy, and I'm all about it. Okay, before I get into the sock projects I want to share with you guys today, I want to remind you that I am, as many of you know, I am the owner and dyer of Fiber for the People yarn, and the next Fiber for the People shop update is Saturday, August 20th. Is it 22nd? No, I'm sorry, Saturday, August 19th. Which is this coming Saturday. This shop update is going to be inspired by the photo that you see here. I really love the richness of the greens here, the warmth of the oranges that you see, and I'm going to have this be kind of a wrap up to summer shop update. So it's going to be kind of inspired by, the ending of summer moving into fall. One of the things I am really excited about this shop update is the yarn that I am bringing back to the shop for this one. This is a 100% Peruvian Highland wool yarn base. It is untreated, and it is spun in almost a zebra stripe. It uses natural black, natural gray, and natural ecru Peruvian Highland wool, and it's spun together to give it this really awesome zebra marl effect. And all of these are all natural colors in here, and then I dye over the top of it. And this is a DK weight, and then I will also be having a 4-ply weight. So a sock weight and a DK weight here. And I love this yarn. Not only do I love that really awesome black, gray, and white marl look, I love this yarn. Peruvian Highland wool is beautiful. It's very, okay, I could say rustic because it definitely is not soft like a merino. But what I like about it is it has a really woolly feel. It has a very tactile, woolly feel. When you feel it in your hands, it's not coarse, it's not rough, it's not super soft and buttery. It feels like wool ought to feel, and I love that. It's just very grounded in what it is, and I think that's why I appreciate this yarn. Oh my god. Yeah, and it has that barnyardy smell that I love so much. So this is the yarn base I'm going to be bringing to the shop for Saturday's shop update for Fiber for the People. And I just wanted to share it with you before I dye it, because I think it's cool to look at this and then to imagine having it dyed over. Those really dark marled areas bring out a lovely richness to the color, and it's retained throughout the yarn. So you just get this with the color dyed over, and it's really, really beautiful. So I will be doing a collection of solid colors based on that photo I showed you there. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. So mark your calendars, Saturday, August 22nd at 10 a.m. Pacific. Wait, 22nd? No, I'm sorry. Saturday, August 19th. I don't even know where my head is at right now. So it's Saturday, August 19th, 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for this gorgeous yarn. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, I have two little sock projects here, and I'll talk about this one in just a moment. This is the sock project I showed on my last episode of the podcast. These are my little 2 at a time vanilla socks. I am knitting these in Little Lionhead Knits yarn. This is a socks that I picked up, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ago. I want to say it's called Retro Stripe. I can't remember exactly what it is. Last time I checked, she still had some of these in the shop, but it is this really pretty pink tweed. So those aren't speckles. Those are actually just little Donegal tweed neps throughout the yarn. And then it comes with a really nice tomato cherry red contrasting color. This is what it looks like in my socks, and this is what it looks like in the cake. So there is the main color. This is a Blueface Luster nylon base, so it's 80% Blueface Luster. Okay, so wait, I take that back. It's Blueface Luster, and then there's some nylon, and then the Donegal neps, and I'm not exactly sure what the fiber content of that is, but it's primarily a BFL base, and I really like that. I feel like it's a little bit more of a rugged wool to use for knitting socks, and then having a little bit of nylon in there just gives it a little bit more durability. And then this is the color of the contrasting color, and this one I believe is an 80-20, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. So this one's not a BFL, but it's so pretty together. Isn't that pretty? So cool. So I'm using the contrasting color to do heels and toes, and you can see that I've gotten my heels done here. And then I'm giving it some racing stripes up here at the top. And I think when I get to the toes of these socks, before I do the solid contrasting color for the toe, I think I'm going to do a couple of these little racing stripes down there too, because I really love the way that that looks. It's nice and sporty. Now I'm knitting these, as you can see, 2 at a time. I really prefer to knit socks 2 at a time. I like seeing them come together at the same time. I find that it does take me a little bit longer. Or I don't know if it actually does. I've not tested that, but it feels like it's a little slower because you just aren't moving ahead in any one thing as quickly as you would be if you were knitting one sock at a time. It's neither here nor there because I enjoy it regardless. The only thing I'm doing here different than what I've done in the past with my 2 at a time socks is I'm knitting these with a heel flap gusset heels. So you can see here that I have, or I'm beginning my gusset. So I've done my heel and my flap, and now I'm starting the gusset portion of the sock, which works its way out from kind of like the side of the heel, like this. I love the way a heel flapping gusset fits. I do not enjoy executing a heel flapping gusset with 2 at a time socks. Now, I don't really have a technique for that makes it any more efficient. I kind of just do one sock, and then when I get to a certain point on the one sock, then I move to the next sock. And I think, okay, so what it is I do the heel flaps, which are these flat parts back here. I do those 1 at a time. So I'll do this entire flap right here, and then I will do the short rows to get the shape of the heel here. And I'll stay on this one sock until that's finished. And then I will pick up stitches along one side of the heel, and then I will move on to the next sock and execute the same thing on this. but it's not the greatest way to do that. So if you have an interest in doing a heel flap and gusset on 2 at a time socks and you've maybe never done that before, find something, Google it on YouTube and see if somebody has like a technique that makes that easier. It's just kind of, I don't know, the way that I'm doing it makes it kind of complicated, and I don't have a tried and true technique. I really like a short row heel. I like the way a heel flap and gusset fits on my foot. I feel like it's more comfortable to wear. However, it's my least favorite one to execute. I like to execute a short row heel, like a boomerang heel. That looks nice. It feels far less fussy when you're doing 2 at a time sock knitting. I just don't love the way it fits, but it's not a deal breaker for me. So that's the only thing happening here that is a little bit different with these 2 at a time socks. But I'm through it now. The heel is done and it looks really nice. So I'm not even mad about it. The one thing that I did do here though, and this comes up a lot with like questions here on the podcast, or if I'm knitting socks, people will mention add a strand of nylon to the heels and the toes of your socks to give them a little bit more durability so that you don't wear holes into them as fast. And so I decided that I wanted to try that. And in fact, I had stumbled across, I wasn't going to go too deep into these socks. I was just going to mention it for this purpose. But I stumbled across this pair of little vanilla socks I started a little while ago, and then I kind of let them fall to the wayside. This is just a basic pair. It's going to be a basic pair of vanilla socks in a biche et bouche yarn. So this is 100%, it's 100% wool. I'm not exactly sure what breed it is. And I think that I might still have, this is Le Petit lamb's wool. Okay, 100% lamb's wool. And it's really lovely. But I had stumbled across this before I had gotten to the heels of this, and inside the little bag I had pulled or purchased a little spool of nylon. So this is 100% nylon thread, and I matched it to the color of the yarn with the intention of using it to reinforce the heels and the toes, because this is 100% lamb's wool. It's a great yarn for something like this in that it's rugged. It's going to kind of felt as you wear the socks, so you're going to get a lot of fusing of fibers together here. This is if it's not a completely woolen spun yarn, it's definitely a semi-woolen spun, so you're going to get more of that kind of felting and fulling effect when you wear these. But because it's 100% wool, it's definitely, especially depending on the surface that you're walking on, and with the surface in my home, it's textured, like a wood texture, and that kind of works socks over pretty well. So you need something to prevent holes from being worn into your socks. Now, if I don't know, like, you can come at me until you're blue in the face down in the comment section about how if you're using the right kind of yarn, you're never going to have holes in your socks. I just don't believe that. I don't buy that. So you could tell me that, and whatever your experience is, that's fine. But if you walk in socks in your home, and unless you're walking on marble floors with no grout lines, like, you're going to wear holes in your socks. That's why people darn socks. And that's why, people are knitting socks. Or if you look back at our ancestors, that's what they were always knitting or darning socks, because you wear holes in them. Like, that's just kind of the nature of this kind of a fiber and this kind of fabric. When it's being worn, where it's in contact with a hard surface and it's agitated, you're going to wear holes into it. I mean, I would love somebody to share with me their experience of never having that problem simply because of the type of yarn that they're using. However, it's going to happen. And so a good way to kind of help prevent that from happening so quickly is to reinforce those areas of the sock that are going to receive the most agitation. And in my experience, that tends to be the heel and actually the ball of the foot, not necessarily just the toe, the ball of the foot, which is that spot, that soft spot on your foot, right below your toes, right? Okay, we don't need an anatomy lesson, but the ball of your foot is going to get a lot of that additional agitation. So having something like a strand of nylon, like what I have here, which is now, okay, this kind of will help, I'm hoping, to remedy that a little bit, provide a little bit more structure to the fabric and give it a little bit more resilience, and not even necessarily resilience, but just durability, generally speaking. So I have that in here, and it reminded me that was the thing I was thinking about doing. And so I decided to do it with these. I went to Michael's and I picked up this spool, same company. It's by Coates and Clark, of 100% nylon thread. I think it was like, I don't know, I want to say it was like $1.50, maybe a little bit more than that, which is, I can't exactly remember. But that is what I did with these heels. So if you look at them, I don't know if you can tell too much on camera, but here's the original yarn and here's the yarn or the fabric with the nylon. It's a little bit deeper because the nylon thread is just a little bit deeper. But, and I'm going to get closer because I want you to see if you can see that really cool. Can you see the nylon thread in there? I don't know if you can make it out. But it's really pretty, and I can feel when I compare the feeling of the fabric of the main portion of the sock. Now, granted, this yarn already has a little bit of nylon built into the yarn, so it's going to be more durable because of that. But the reinforced heel is like, it is there. Like, this is durable and strong, and I can feel that. There's a little bit of a coarseness to the fabric where the nylon is that I added, but because it's going to be on the heel, I don't think it'll be too much of a problem. It probably will soften as I block these. I don't know, this is my first experience with this. I'm kind of heeding the recommendation of so many folks who are far more experienced at sock knitting than myself, who said this is a really excellent way to keep the socks from having holes worn into them so quickly, to prevent you from having to be, darning your socks all the time. So I'm hoping that works well. And I think it's kind of a cool thing to do. And the process of knitting with that strand of nylon in there was really nice. I felt like it made the whole heel flap and gusset execution a little bit more interesting. You do have to kind of pay attention to how you're holding the nylon with the yarn, because unlike like holding a mohair or some other lace weight strand of yarn, it slips by the yarn. So you might notice that your tension on the yarn is fine, but then all of a sudden your tension, which feels like it should be the same with the nylon thread, starts to slip and the thread's all loopy, and it can become kind of a problem, I guess. But if you're paying attention and you're keeping your tension as even as you can, it's actually kind of nice. And I like watching the two strands, like the nylon and the strand of yarn, knit together. I think it kind of looks cool. So that is what I've done here for my heels, and I'm really looking forward to trying them out and seeing how they feel. And now that they have kind of that reinforcement of nylon in there, I think it's pretty cool. I have mentioned this before. If you would like to use something that is not synthetic, if you want something that's a more natural option, and this is going to be more pricey, but a thread, you can use cotton thread. That will also add a little bit of durability to it. A silk thread is excellent for something like that. It gives you a little bit more strength. So these are some fibers. Linen would be a good one too if you could find a linen thread. I don't know how common that is, but any kind of thread, that's not synthetic, if that's what you're trying to avoid, will provide a little bit additional, a little bit more, durability. So give it a shot, see what you come up with based on what you would like to try. I chose to go with nylon here. I want to see what it feels like, and I'll let you know about it. But those are my 2 at a time socks that I'm working on right now. These ones I'll probably start working on as these ones become finished. I just wanted to pull these out because I was excited about that nylon that I found in there. And I'm actually excited about these too, because this yarn is so pretty. Look at that green. Isn't that pretty? I'm keeping these in a Cavallini Company pouch. I talked about these pouches on a previous episode of the Midweek Ramble where I shared my favorite project bags. You can get these at Barnes & Noble, and you can get them on Amazon. They sell a lot of different options of these on Amazon. I'll link to them down below. I love these for 2 at a time sock knitting projects because it holds your yarn. It's pretty snug in there, but it holds your yarn in place really nicely. So your little balls of yarn or cakes of yarn aren't bouncing around in a project bag. It's really quite perfect for that. And they're so cute. There's so many different fun designs. So those are another pair of 2 at a time socks. Okay, in addition to my 2 at a time socks, I wanted to share with you this basket that I have. Now, I don't remember where I was talking about 2 at a time socks. It might have been like 4 episodes ago, where I first brought up these socks, not the actual socks, but the sock set I was going to use for these socks. And somebody recommended that I look into peanut baskets if I'm knitting my socks 2 at a time. I had no idea what a peanut basket was, so I immediately Googled peanut baskets. I was in my mind, I can't remember if I was thinking like a bushel basket, or I don't really know what I was considering when I was thinking of peanut basket. I was in my mind, I can't remember if I was thinking like a bushel basket, or I don't really know what I was considering when I was thinking of peanut basket, but I Googled it and I found this. This is a peanut basket, and it is essentially two baskets that are together attached, and it's intended to be used to eat peanuts. So you have one of the baskets to hold your shelled peanuts, and then one basket to put your shells in after you crack them open and you eat the nut inside. So you could use this for pistachios. I mean, really anything that kind of follows that. I'm sure you could refer to this as a basket of, what you would use to spit out or dispose of shells of any kind of nut. Yeah, I don't even know what. You can use it for anything that requires you to have dispose of a portion of the snack you're eating. I don't know, whatever, use your imagination. But this is a peanut basket, and I think it is the cutest way to hold your 2-at-a-time projects. Honestly, and you don't even have to be knitting 2-at-a-time socks like on the same needle. You could be a concurrent 2-at-a-time sock knitter. Those are folks who like to knit their socks concurrently, meaning they have one sock going here and they knit to a certain they get to a certain portion of the sock over here, and then they set that down, and then they work this one to that same, they meet in the middle kind of a thing. That's concurrent 2-at-a-time sock knitting. And I imagine if that's what you're doing, how cute to have one little sock over here and one little sock over here. And you can put this next to your chair where you sit and do most of your knitting. And for me, I have an ottoman right in front of my chair, and I would set it there. And you have your little 2-at-a-time sock projects in a peanut basket. And I think it is just the cutest thing. And the person, I cannot remember who suggested it. If you are watching, thank you for this suggestion. I think it is absolutely adorable. I love it. It is quaint and cozy, and I was able to support this company. They are Roseanne's Woven Goods out of Hacker Valley, West Virginia. And I got this on Etsy. So it says here, on a remote farm in West Virginia's heartland, we preserve the heritage of the early settlers through weaving. We originally learned the art of basket making during a 4-H leaders craft weekend at Jackson's Mill. The traditional method of broom making was learned through the Augusta Heritage Apprentice Program. Our crafts are both decorative and functional and stand metaphorically woven together like events in one's life. May you enjoy this basket or broom as much as we enjoyed making it, Roseanne. I think that is so cool. So I bought this on Etsy. I will link down to this particular shop down below in the description box, but there are not lots. If you type in peanut basket on Etsy, you're not going to be inundated with this particular type of basket. You're going to see lots of various different peanut related items, but you'll see a few that look like this. Sometimes you'll see it labeled as an Amish peanut basket or a pistachio basket, something like that. I really love this one, and I'll show you the bottom because I think it looks so cool on the inside. So the listing on Etsy shows these little X crosses at the bottom of the basket in like a green color, and I thought that was really pretty. When I purchased this, it didn't come green, it came in this brown color, which is totally fine. I think it's still really pretty, but I just think that they look so like I don't know, just really rustic and cool. And here's the action right there we go. I love it. So yeah, so we have a peanut basket. How cool is that? A peanut basket for 2-at-a-time sock knitting when you're not, obviously if you feel like you're only going to be working on your 2-at-a-time socks like out of the house, you might want to keep them in a project bag. But typically what I do is I have a basket right next to my chair where I knit. And if I have a project that I'm currently working on that I do take with me, I just kind of keep a project bag stuffed in that basket. And when I'm going to take it with me to like hockey practice or something like that, I just stuff it in the project bag and I'm good to go. But then when I come home, I kind of find joy in taking it out of the project bag and sticking it in these little baskets and having it there ready for me to work on cozy while I'm at home. So little things, these little simple pleasures. And you guys, it doesn't even have to be for socks. It could be mittens. It could be washcloths. You could have any little thing, like 2 little projects. Maybe it's a great way to like tell yourself no more than 2 little projects at a time. I don't know. The world is your oyster or your peanut, but I love peanut baskets. So if I'm looking on Etsy, and I want to kind of show you what is available on Etsy. So let's go ahead and head over there really quick and we'll do this together. I'm going to record my screen. Okay, so, oh my gosh, see, now it's like giving me all the peanut stuff. You can see right here your recent finds up at the top. Okay, I'm gonna type in peanut basket. See what we get. Okay, so you're gonna get like those like packages, like the sample snack boxes or whatever. But here we have the peanut basket. This is the one that I purchased from DR Woven Goods. Okay, so this is Roseanne's Woven Goods. I don't think that's the same as the DR Woven Goods. Is it? Yeah, Hacker Valley, West Virginia. Oh, they have such pretty baskets. You guys, look at these baskets. A holly berry basket. Oh, I'm a sucker for good baskets, especially, oh my gosh. How cool is that? And the price is pretty, how small, that's probably a pretty small basket there. But they're so cute. So this is the peanut basket, $30 for a really pretty peanut basket. You can see that the crosses in this one, I say crosses, the little X's in the bottom are green. And then this is the flatware basket, which I thought was really cute too. If you have, I don't know, like 3 active projects that are relatively small and you just want to keep them organized in a basket by your chair. What a fun way to have organized baskets in your home. So that's one version. Here's the Amish peanut basket. This one's kind of clever if you're purchasing it. The mug is kind of getting hot. If you're purchasing this for actual peanuts, this is why this is clever. You see that little ball in the middle there? It's almost like a joint. You put your, I was gonna say, put the sacks inside there, and that's where you put your peanuts. But when you're done with the shells, you can turn the basket to dump out just the shells. I think this is so ingenious. I don't know why I'm so crazy about this peanut basket idea. And then you could really just go down the rabbit hole of peanut baskets. And then here we are with a Planters peanut tin that I'm absolutely crazy about because I love tins. This is like a peanut basket that's shaped like a peanut. It's not really doing the same job as this one over here. But yeah, so you can see what I mean. Like you're going to just start getting like peanut related items and not necessarily peanut baskets. But there were those few options up at the top for peanut baskets. And I'm sure you could Google peanut baskets and get a lot more options. But I love the idea of having a peanut basket for your 2 at a time socks. Let me know down below what you think about that. If you have other ways that you do your 2 at a time socks when you're home, I don't know. I just think that that's so cute. And you can support a hand maker, an artisan, a basket weaver. I think it's great. Well, there you have it, folks. That is it for me today. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing that time with me here. I'm excited to get back into the groove next week, catch up on my knitting, get some of this gorgeous yarn dyed for the Fiber for the People shop update, and to come back here for Wednesday's midweek ramble. You guys, if you enjoyed yourself or took any value from today's video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe and click that bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel. Also, if you would like to help support the channel, head over to woolneedleshands.com. You can shop from some patterns I have over there. You can check out the merch shop where we have lots of fun conversation starters, really cool t-shirts, tote bags, various different things like coffee mugs. And while you're there, you can sign up for the newsletter. I send out a monthly newsletter at the beginning of each month as a recap of the previous month. You guys, thank you so much as always. Until I see you again for Wednesday's midweek ramble, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.